point, it would be smarter not to just go for the minority, which is the vegans. You're going for everyone.
Yeah.
It'd be quite ironic. The guy who's been chirping vegans finally decides to support a vegan
I think
brand.
that's how we bring the vegans and the meat eaters together.
That's where it is.
The fat derived from animals has got that sliminess in your mouth. Like there's a whole bunch of stuff that people don't realize. They eat it and they have a good time, but that is the stuff that makes meat. It makes it delicious. I also described when I stopped eating meat and I felt lighter. But some people want to feel heavy after a meal. They love that feeling. So like trying to break down all that and recreate it again with plant-based and it's wheat, it's soy, it's these things. It's very difficult. And I found of working in the industry of the plant-based industry for 10 years, we kept on having to weigh up a long ingredient list versus taste versus nutritionals. And our consumers becoming far more focused on saying, they want short ingredient list and good nutritionals, but they want it to taste good. And it's very difficult to do with a plant-based.
It's time that I get to taste this. How much would you say it costs?
I think it's about, it's five grams. It's probably about 1,500 rand.
Wow. Can I try it?
I'm hoping you enjoy it.
Yeah. All right.
He's gone for the tip, just gone for the bit.
Wow, that is ridiculous. I could go vegan here.
That's the goal.
No way. No. Absolutely not.
And I'm not paying you.
No. If you can do this.
If we could do that, and just remember that's taken us not even 6 months to get the technology right. And so we're very excited about the next stage. But I mean, maybe could you describe some of the things? I mean, lamb is.
So the thing, I'm a big lamb lover, and lamb has something that feels and tastes a little bit more wilder than beef. There is something that tastes.
It's Karoo lamb. It's like
yeah. This tastes like lamb. Like I've never. It even has that like lamby. You know when you burn lamb?
Yeah.
Because I don't like my lamb to be like meat. I like it to be burnt.
Just look at that reaction. Once people taste it. Excellent interview coming up with the CEO of Newform Foods, a cultivated meat company based out of South Africa. Keep in mind this was filmed about 6 months ago. You've probably seen some of the tasting clips on social media. Here's the full interview from where that came from. Lots of insights. Great interview. Let's get into the video.
Okay, I'm very excited for this episode. Lab-grown meat. How did this come about? Let's go in. Let's simplify it. Lab-grown meat. What happened? And I take it you're vegan.
I like to say I eat a vegan diet. I don't like to describe myself as vegan because I think that kind of boxes me in.
Okay.
But it's definitely been the reason over the last 15 years why I've looked at food differently.
All right.
So I won't go all the way back, but I'll just sort of start now on why lab-grown meat and why would we call it cultivated meat. And it just means we're growing it in a very sort of faster way compared to the conventional way. The question on why, I mean, personally, as I said, my food journey started 15 years ago. I stopped eating meat because I listened to a lecture.
One lecture. Gave up McDonald's.
I look,
Cheese on your mouth.
everything. And I was a meat guy. I mean, this is something like I almost like my friends sort of lost me for a while because they were like, you were the braai guy. I was the guy that took the tongs. It was a big moment for them, I think, more than me. But so, yeah, I was at UCT. I won't go into all that details, but I did a course in ethics with a guy called David Benatar. And he pretty much summed it up quite quickly. And I was like, that makes sense to me. And I'm going to stop eating meat. My mom, a vegetarian, she's a vegetarian of 30 years, laughed at me. She said, you're never going to survive. And here I am. So that was the motivation of it. And I think the big journey for me was learning about food and efficiencies and saying, how do we do it better? And I got a job in food straight out of varsity, not knowing anything about sales and marketing, and just got stuck in. And that led to the birth of cultivated meat in Africa.
All right. So you're the first cultivated meat place, right?
Yeah. First cultivated meat in Africa.
Okay, cool. Let's go. How does it work?
Okay.
What are you doing? Let's go.
Ooh, I love lamb.
And it's very new. It's a very new lamb meatball for us. So I'm very excited to have you try it. So we take a small biopsy. It's about the size of a peppercorn. Okay, we bring that back to our facility here in Salt River in Cape Town.
It's
So-
Salt River.
It's Salt River. I mean, like sometimes when I have to explain to people that I work in a lab in Salt River, they get a bit worried. But yeah, for all future purposes, it's a very clean lab, and we take it and we print it in our facility and we break it down to a sort of molecular sort of structure. And then what we're trying to do is recreate that without needing an animal. So animals are perfectly designed, and you're perfectly designed to create cells and duplicate and make cells that create hair. Well, maybe not you, but
Ask my barber.
But these cells they're perfectly designed to go and do what they're supposed to do, create muscle, fat tissue, and all that kind of stuff. So what we're doing is feeding those cells the same sort of ingredients. It's amino acids, it's glucose. If we want to make fat, we use insulin. We use a bunch of these things. We feed it in something that kind of at scale will look like a brewery, but at our scale, it looks like a home brewing kit, okay? And the whole time, we keep it at 37 degrees, because that's the temperature of a mammal.
Look at you, sneaky.
Yeah, so there we go.
Bio class.
Yeah,
I agree.
Just for the record, but I tell this to everybody because I particularly when I speak to students, is that I dropped out of science and I dropped out of varsity. So, so I've been able to get through it without having too much of a technical background. But then that starts creating tissue. That muscle tissue is then harvested. It takes about 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Yeah. Compare that to 18 months for a cow.
Oh, wow.
That's where we start getting excited about the potential of this technology. That we can take a process and ultimately create the same process that's more ethical, potentially more sustainable, and potentially more healthy, and then do it in a fraction of the time.
So, no offense to any religious people, so you guys are technically God.
Jesus, no.
You say Jesus. What do you mean you guys are technically Jesus?
The son, no, okay, let's not. First, that's always a question that people do ask because of kosher, halal, shuddha, which is the halal, the Hindu certification. These questions do come up. For us, we're farmers. We're taking stuff that happens in nature and we're trying to just duplicate it. It's the same way that a guy takes a seed from a maize field and then goes and cultivates it. We're doing the same thing. We're just trying to take what took 10,000 years for livestock to get right. We've tried to do it in 3 years. And we've got a couple of years to go, but we're pretty confident about the process so far.
So, I'm a business guy. I have a feeling you guys are going to get a lot of money to do what you guys are doing.
We think that there is incredible value in disrupting a billion-dollar enterprise in South Africa, and that's the conventional meat industry. If you're looking at the numbers there, it's about $300 billion. The meat industry in South Africa. I just need a portion of that. The number of birds that we kill every year is about 1 billion birds. Okay, that's chickens. Millions of, and this is all conventional. I'm not talking about any backyard slaughter that we might have spoken about a bit earlier. But so that whole industry requires innovation, and we're actually engaging with the meat industry already. Because they see that they want to future-proof their business. They're already saying that plant-based is something that they're interested in, and something like cultivated meat and cellular agriculture, which is the umbrella term for our technology. They believe that it's something that's going to happen. It's a case of when. Okay. And yes, we are fundraising, and yes, we are talking to investors, and whether they're Japanese or
that's called modesty.
No, I'm still very much in the startup mode of wearing Mr. Price, and I haven't gotten beyond that yet.
Not freedom of movement yet.
Look, I just want those sneakers, man. I just see them, and I'm just like, I got DC, so that's not too bad. Also, as a company, we've been seeing success in being able to sell the technology. So, like, if we're talking about business, our core focus and shift over the last couple of months or 6 months has been to say, like in South Africa, you can build tech quickly, cheaply, and we're a pretty innovative bunch of people when you don't electricity half the time.
Oh, guys.
So I know that's another sore subject, but South Africans are incredible at doing stuff like this. And our team, like, we run circles sometimes around our European counterparts for speed. They've got a lot more money and they can do other cool stuff. So we're saying, how do we take this technology and sell the technology and license that component to a big food player who then goes and does the manufacturing with us. So that's how we're kind of looking at our model, which has shifted over a while.
Okay, let's talk about taste. So I have friends of mine that are vegan. And there's something about sometimes you know it's vegan and they just don't get the taste right. There's just something that's just not there. How are you controlling the taste and that?
Look, I think it's firstly an important thing to acknowledge that taste and culture and South Africa, all these things start connecting, and all these things are centered around meat. I mean, you can't move away from that, and that's something that we looked at from the beginning. So our third employee, or actually, technically first, because me and my co-founder was the first two. She was the head of taste, and she was the daughter of a cattle farmer. She was Xhosa, and she was a woman from the beef industry. So she came with all that knowledge.
She came with beef.
She came with no beef. Well, to make beef anyway. And she, so we wanted to go and speak to her and get an understanding of meat before we then started making the product. So that's where that was sort of day one. Okay. Before we even got into the lab. Okay. Now, when it comes to plant-based, and so I eat a plant-based diet. I've for 15 years. I think I'm okay health-wise, and I'm fine. And I get enough protein. Probably too much at the moment. I've got a bit of a shaking off the lockdown body still. But the point is that it doesn't have umami. It doesn't have the fat. The fat derived from animals is got that sliminess in your mouth. Like there's a whole bunch of stuff that people don't realize. They eat it and they have a good time, but that is the stuff that makes meat. It makes it delicious. I also described when I stopped eating meat and I felt lighter. But some people want to feel heavy after a meal. They love that feeling. So like trying to break down all that and recreate it again with plant-based and it's wheat, it's soy, it's these things. It's very difficult. And I found of working in the industry of the plant-based industry for 10 years, we kept on having to weigh up a long ingredient list versus taste versus nutritionals. And our consumers becoming far more focused on saying, they want short ingredient list and good nutritionals, but they want it to taste good. And it's very difficult to do with a plant-based. They're getting there. The versions that are coming out now are fantastic. I eat them all the time. But in terms of for your average consumer to be able to want to switch and pay more, it's difficult. And we are hoping, and just on the limited runs of the product that we have available to us now, the feedback that we're getting is immediately it's meaty. It's got that umami. And those are the two key things that people are drawn to.
What about the vegans who don't want anything tasting like meat?
I think they're correct for them. I think that they, and I'm somebody who eats a lot more beans and lentils than I used to. I'm very happy with that. But for the majority of South Africans, the majority of people living on this planet, and for the billion people in China and the billion people in India that are going to start eating more meat, it's an aspirational goal to eat meat. It's a very middle-class southern suburbs thing to say, like, people should stop eating meat. So if you do believe that, I think you must continue with that. And I think you're probably correct. I think a whole food plant-based diet is probably the best way to go. But what I'm trying to create is to feed the next, or let's look at South Africa. You've got, 40 million people that are going to start moving, hopefully, into a middle-class lifestyle. I want to give them meat that's better and tastes better. And also, in our context, people that can be eating a better cut, a better cut of meat. So I think, I've worked in animal advocacy for my entire career as well, and I've worked a lot with vegan activists and animal activists, and I respect and I've started non-profits that do the same job. But I think we've got to be pragmatic and practical in our approach, and I really implore them.
It's not my language. It's not my language.
Matter.
It's not my language. It's your language, not mine.
I'm not even good at my language sometimes, and I just think that they. I get a lot of pushback from them, and I just hope that they can learn a bit more and understand before they lash out.
All right. From a business point, it would be smarter not to just go for the minority, which is the vegans. You're going for everyone.
Yeah. Well, I think we do have to segment this market. We've done some research, and I say we. It's a non-profit that I helped start a couple of years ago that looked at South Africans' views on this, and the representative sample of about 1,000 people, race, gender, and income. The early adopter in this space was a Zulu-speaking, urban living, middle to low income group man who was willing to spend a little bit more. And it was very interesting to find that information, and it helped us really say from a business case there's a demand here. The perceptions that we've seen from a South African point of view, they seem to be quite open to this. If it's meat, if it makes me feel full for longer, that's good. So we're looking at that kind of demographic, but we're also looking at somebody who, I heard the term, just like ethical carnivore, someone who's looking maybe a bit uneasy about eating meat every single day, but they're not getting sold by the plant-based burger. So that's the kind of people that we're really trying to target. And as I said, for us is to work with the businesses, the food businesses and the meat businesses that are looking to target that new demographic and hopefully work and combine with us to make a product.
All right. It's time that I get to taste this. I hear I'm one of 3 people
You're one of three of, let me just clarify, one of three people to have eaten the lamb.
Okay.
The lamb. The beef's been eaten by about a bunch of people, not too many, but you're getting podium for lamb.
All right, let's do this. Here it is. Let's talk about this particular piece of meat.
Yeah.
Oh, what's the best way to call it?
Cultivated lamb meatball.
Okay, cultivated lamb meatball. Here it is.
That's it.
How much would you say it costs to make this piece of meatball?
Just that little guy. It's in the thousands. Okay. It started off a year ago in the tens and 20s of thousands.
All right.
So we've dropped the price down drastically to get us to that stage. And our goal is in the next 18 months is to reach price parity.
Well, the first one, when you first started, how much is that?
You're making me do some maths here, but it was 60,000 Rand for a burger. And the reason why I say this is that for me, that's my first data point. It's more importantly what direction I've gone. And we've halved and halved and halved and halved again the price of these things, our inputs rather, to be able to get this price down to.
So how many thousands do you think?
I think it's about, it's it's 5 grams. It's probably about 1,500 Rand.
Wow. Can I try it?
I'm hoping you enjoy it.
Yeah. All right.
He's gone for the tip, just gone for the bit.
Wow, that is ridiculous. I could go vegan here.
That's the goal.
No way. No. Absolutely not.
And I'm not paying you.
No. If you
Yeah,
can do
so
this.
if we could do that, and just remember that's taken us not even 6 months to get the technology right. And so we're very excited about the next stage. But I mean, maybe could you describe some of the things? I mean, lamb is.
So the thing, I'm a big lamb lover, and lamb has something that feels and tastes a little bit more wilder than beef. There is something that tastes.
It's Karoo lamb. It's like
yeah. This tastes like lamb. Like I've never. It even has that like lamby. You know when you burn lamb?
Yeah.
Because I don't like my lamb to be like meat. I like it to be burnt. That. I'm actually leaving some for the camera people.
Okay, no, yeah, that's good. So we can get more people to try it.
What? But how?
Yeah, so this is just, I mean, we've worked together. We've got a wonderful partner. He's having extras. We have a wonderful partner where we work with called Man, and they are our flavor partner. And we've just, we create the muscle tissue, the meat, and they help us form these patties and balls and all that kind of stuff, meatballs. And yeah, it's. And I like to always say that Pecorino, the lamb, who we took the cells from, she's living happily ever after in Greyton.
It's so good that I wouldn't mind if she died for it because. I'm sorry. Okay, all
Don't
right.
tell the Sanctuary that.
Okay. Let's talk about what's stopping you from having that in every single store, and what else needs to be done.
Look, there's 2 or 3 aspects to this. There's a technology component that needs to be improved. We want to make a perfect product, and we don't believe we're there yet. So what you've had now is version 1 still.
Version 1.
Version 1. That is version 1.
Put this in the restaurant.
I can actually start making some.
Put it there by Iron Steak.
So version 1 is it needs to be improved in terms of texture and the muscle tissue and the way that it combines with different things is a key component to us, and that needs a bit of work, and we're very excited about it. What it is it's 2 things. There's what we feed the cells and what we grow it in. Okay. What we feed the cells currently is the most expensive part of this whole thing. It's that sweet sauce, amino acids, and all that kind of stuff to actually get those cells to like start growing. We need to get that down to a commodity price. It's into the cents. We're in the hundreds of rands at the moment. We're pretty confident, and we're going to be able to achieve that in the next 18 months, and that's why I keep on referencing that. And then the other part of it is when you take the cells, you put them with the media, and you've got to grow it in something, and it's a brewing process. We're doing it's a brewing process, essentially. It's too expensive to go and build a pharmaceutical-grade facility that can actually do this. So we have to create a food-grade facility using pharma techniques. So what we're doing, as South Africans do, is scrappy, taking things that are expensive and recreating them at a price that makes sense. And if we do that within the next 18, 24 months, we definitely can be in restaurants, and we can start pushing into retail.
So you're saying something that I actually watched on Netflix about. There's a show that talking about synthetic diamonds.
Yes.
And in it he says, on the top of the monument in Washington, D.C., there's aluminium. Because then aluminium was like this incredible thing.
Yeah.
Like, wow, aluminium. It's expensive
wrap
to
my
make.
Samis.
Yes. And now we throw it away.
Yeah.
And now he's saying the same thing about diamonds. Is that eventually because now they make them in labs.
I've actually heard how lab diamonds are starting to like really encroach. Yeah, I think maybe we watched the same thing.
Yeah, it's on Netflix.
Yeah.
So for me, this is the same thing. In 18 months or so, you'll be able to cut down the prices and make some more. First of all, I'm going to say this. This is my favorite episode I have done, and I've done many episodes of podcasts.
That's awesome to hear.
First of all, the chef. Give the chef a shout out.
Yeah, we're good. I mean, he's over here, Chef Jay, Jay Mack. I mean, he is the main OG vegan chef, and also a vegan chef cooked that for you. So I think that also speaks a lot.
That for me says a lot.
Yeah,
and I actually I was speaking to him off camera. When I'm in Bali, I could be vegan in Bali.
Yeah.
The stuff tastes amazing. They're not trying to impersonate meat.
Exactly.
There's fruit, there's vegetable. It just tastes amazing. I just want to say, as a person who makes a lot of jokes about vegans online, I want to say to every vegan, I apologize, and I think I could join you one day. Man.
With our meatballs.
Yeah. Any final words? Because I'm blown away.
No, I mean, just obviously, Siv, thanks very much for having me. Thanks for Workshop 17 and Chef Jay for crushing it as he always does. I don't trust any other people with my meatballs at the moment, so he's the man.
I'm so glad you didn't say I don't trust anyone with my balls.
I knew I had to put that. Yeah, that's descriptive.
But it's 2023. You could say that. It's fine.
Look, it's all over. I mean, you can say whatever. But I think again, thanks. For us, this is. I mean, we truly have made history here. Like this is not. You're a first, and we're excited as a company to be leading that case in Africa, and we still are an African company. And I just think the way that I look at it is that it's taken 10,000 years for cows to be that delicious. We've caught up quite a lot in 3 years. I don't think we're there yet, and I think we've got a long way to go. But as economic growth happens, I always look at what's happened before. We used to use horses to do transport. We used pigeons for communication. That doesn't exist anymore. I believe that as you have economic growth, you decouple the usage of animals, and I think food is the last frontier.
I just want to say, when everything gets to where you want it to get to, I don't mind doing work for the brand. I don't want it being out there because it'd be quite ironic. The guy who's been chirping vegans finally decides to support a vegan brand.
I think that's how we bring the vegans and the meat eaters together.
That's where it is. Man, thank you so much. That is absolutely, I'm blown away.
Thank you.
Thanks as always for watching. We'll catch you in the next video.